You actually appeared on Raw quite early on in your career as an enhancement talent. I just want to know, what was that like for you? Was it quite scary? Did you find that there were some experienced wrestlers that were very helpful for you? Just want to know, what's that process like for you?
Well, for me, it was really crazy because I was only training at the Monster Factory for 3 weeks, and WWF was in town, or WWE. They were in town, and Glenn came to me and said, "Hey, so WWF's in town, and they do the superstars TV tapings." He goes, "So when they're in town, they use Larry's guys." He goes, "I've been doing it for years." He goes, "So you're going to come with us, and we're going to go, and we're going to hang out, we're going to have a good time." And I was like, I am nowhere ready to be doing any kind of 3 weeks. I barely knew how to bump. I barely knew how to hit the ropes. I hadn't thrown a punch. I hadn't done anything offensive whatsoever.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Don't worry about it." He said, "They won't use you because they've never seen you before." He said, "So you'll go up there, they'll see your face." He goes, "You're going to get a paycheck. It's going to be a good time. So you're coming." And I went, okay. So I went to work. I took some time off from work for those couple of days, and there it was. I think it was the first night was in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and I'm sitting there, and they roll out the big whiteboard, and there it is. It says, "Adam Bomb versus Chaz Ware." And I went, thought they weren't going to use me. And Glenn goes, "Well, I guess they're going to use you." So,
you're here now, so
there it was. 3 weeks into my training, I end up in a WWF ring getting taped for TV.
Literally.
So it was
that is awesome, though. Like 3 weeks into the business, and you're literally on national television, which takes people years to do. So that's pretty cool, man. What was Adam Bomb like? Was he all right with you?
It was surreal. It was crazy. I used the phrase all the time, "duck on a pond." So if you watch a duck, it's going across a pond. It's nice and smooth. It doesn't, it's just kind of, but underneath, its feet are going like this. So that was me. On the surface, I was kind of trying to act kind of cool, but on the insides, my insides were turning like this because it was crazy. But I'm sitting in the locker room, and here come the Steiner brothers, and Scott Steiner's changing and walking around naked. And I was just like, oh, okay. And then, there's Sonny, and there's this one, and there's Papa Shango, and and I'm looking at all these guys just going, holy cow, there's the Heart Foundation. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't belong here. And then, like I said at the beginning, Macho Man's my favorite. So we're standing out in the hallway, and you hear him walking down the hall, and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, here comes Macho Man. And I was just like freaking out. I was like, oh shit. So as he gets like 3 feet away from me, Glenn decides to shove me directly into him, and I almost knocked him over. So that was a little crazy, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, oh, no, don't worry, kids, don't worry about it. And he just like kept walking, and I was like, you dick. But it worked out even better because I'm getting ready to going out to the ring, and I'm standing right behind Carella, and I'm pacing back and forth. And then all of a sudden I hear this, "First time here, kid," and I turn around, there was Macho Man. And I was like, so I was like, I couldn't talk. And I'm like, "Yes, sir." And he's like, oh, he goes, "Don't worry about it." He goes, "You'll do fine." And I'm like, "Okay, thank you." And he's like, "You know what? I have nothing going on right now." He goes, "I'm going to stand right here and I'm going to watch." And I was like, no, you don't, that's okay. You don't have to do that. He's like, no. He goes, "I'm going to watch." So I was like, okay. So I go out and I do the match with Adam Bomb, and Johnny Polo's with him. And I'm out there trying not to laugh because I'm walk out and I'm amazed that I'm in, in an arena with 15,000 people in a WWF ring.
Yeah.
Still like amazed. So I get done and I go through the back and I walk through the curtain, and there he was, right there where he said he would be. There was Macho Man. He put his arm around my shoulder and said, "Kid, for the first time, that was amazing." He goes, "You're going to make money in this business one day." And he slapped me in the head and walked off. So,
that's
I mean,
awesome.
Talking about, a surreal night of ring, then meeting, someone who was my favorite growing up, and then to have that quick little conversation with them. Yeah, it's crazy.
Getting asked for a better start in like the biggest company in the world at the time. So that's awesome, man. And just to sort of give him a thumbs up for Macho Man, that's wicked. So I want to know, how is it that you end So I have to say, I have to keep saying it, Thrasher, because I haven't got to the Headbangers yet. But how did you and Thrasher actually become a tag team? Because you did work as the Spiders and then the Flying Nuns. Who actually came up with the idea to put you two as a tag team?
It was actually Glenn's idea. So Glenn had been around for a couple of years, just doing single stuff. And, you know, he was really well known in that Northeast area, and, you know, Jersey and New York and Delaware area. That's where Larry ran. So he was Larry's guy. He was Larry's heavyweight champ. But you know, he was going up to TV and doing jobs and done so well right off the bat. I mean, we just clicked. And then as I put weight on, our bodies were similar. We just got along so well, and there was a lot of similarities. He just said to me, he said, because then I did this, probably I started in June of '93. It was probably that September, October, he had gotten hurt. He hurt his back, had a herniated disc. And then, so he wasn't around for a little bit, and then he came back and he was like, you know what? And he goes, why don't we do a tag team? And at that point, you know, Glenn was the trainer at the school. Glenn was the man. Like, everyone down at that school you always wanted to be around Glenn. He just had that energy and that he was kind of like a magnet. Like, he always had the center of attention, and you know, and he was good. Yeah. So I mean, for him to ask me to be, you know, to tag with him was amazing, and you know, it would have been stupid at that point for me to say no. So I'm like, yeah, of course. So it was actually Glenn's idea.
You got to win the tag team titles, and you couldn't have asked for better opponents at Ground Zero in your house in 1997, and you beat the Godwins, LOD, and British Bulldog, and Owen Hart. And we'll ignore Stone Cold's assistance, but the main thing is you got the pin as well. Yeah. What was that like for you? You know, basically, what was that like going backstage and like, holy shit, I'm a tag team champion so early on?
It goes back to Cornette, ties back into this also, because again, we weren't even supposed to be in that match. That match was supposed to be Dude Love and Stone Cold, because they were tag champs. But that's when Steve broke his neck.
Oh yeah, they were vacant titles. Yeah.
His neck. So a week before the pay-per-view, they threw us in. That TV before the pay-per-view, they were like, "Look, he's not going to be here, so you guys are going to be in the pay-per-view now." We're like, "Awesome, we're in a pay-per-view. Like this is amazing. We're in a pay-per-view." So we were like, let's do it up. Let's do something different. So we actually went to the thrift store and we bought wedding gowns, and then we dyed them black. Like, you know, every time we were out there, we wanted to do something a little bit crazier, a little bit, especially a pay-per-view. It had to be a little bit better. So we get to TV. It was in Louisville. We get to TV, and Cornette says to us, "Guys, come on, boys, let's go. We got to take a walk." Okay. So he takes us all the way downstairs into the parking garage, all the way to the back corner, and we're like, what are we doing out here? This is kind of creepy out. What are we doing? He goes, well, I brought you down here. I want to tell you guys something. He goes, I got to have a discussion with you. He goes, I want to do it away from everybody. We're like, okay. He goes, you guys are winning tonight. And we went, what?
Like, haha, good one, sort of thing.
Like, you guys are winning the belts tonight. We're like, are you kidding? This isn't funny. And he goes, no. He goes, you guys are winning the belts. And we're like, oh, that's awesome. We kind of started like this. He goes, I brought you down here because I know how you guys are. Do it here so you don't do it in front of everybody. So the three of us started jumping around and dancing. We were dancing, we were screaming and yelling, and we were hugging. We were like, this is amazing. So we go back up, and now we're sitting in the room with the meeting with everybody. And Jack Lanza was our agent. And, you know, he was talking about, okay, here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. And then he's like, it's going to be Headbangers with Owen and Davey Boy Left. At that point, I'm sitting there like this, because I had to hide
holding it in.
Right. So, so then the match, you know, we went through it and it was all done. And I was like, all right, cool. And everybody kind of walked out, and it was great because the Godwins stayed back in the room with us, and they turned around. They're like, you guys can smile now. We know how you are. Go ahead. So it was like, yeah, so it was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah. So Cornette,
that's good, man.
So again, Cornette kind of ties back in everything. It was his gimmick. He got us there. He told us. So, you know, it was all kind of goes together.
and the pop that he got, man, the crowd just went nuts. It was great, and that was literally the hottest period of wrestling. And I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, wrestling's terrible now, and I still watch it, but I mean, like, to win it in that period and that year, just special moment. With the WWE Network having every Raw moment from it history, have you had a chance to go back and look at your early days and WWE before you hit Headbangers, or have you watched anything back and thought, oh, that was really good, or oh, I wish I did that differently?
I watched some of it back. I'll go on because they're streaming on Peacock now, so I get it through my cable system. Even before, I went back and I watched some of it. A lot of it I have on tape. I have on tape because I would tape every time I was on TV. I taped it, whether it was an enhancement match, whether it was one of the Spiders matches. I had a camcorder. Like, I taped all of it, and I would watch it all back. But no, I still go back and I'll reminisce. It's funny. My son's almost 17, and he'll come downstairs and he'll be like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "Myself." He goes, "What match are you watching now?" I'm like, "Yeah, we won the tag belts." Or it's WrestleMania 13. He's like, "Haven't you watched that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I could watch it all day long."
That's good, man.
It's good. The other side of going back is there's certain things Glenn and I did, because now when we do independents, we still do a lot of indie shows, but we kind of do the same thing because we know that gets a big pop from the crowd. But every now and then we'll see something and we'll be like, "Oh, remember that? Yeah, okay, let's do that again tonight." So it's kind of different.
You did mention me about working with the Rock and Roll Express, but I want to talk about you beating them on Raw for the, I think it was Raw, the NWA titles, tag team titles. I just want to know, what was that like for you? Because I know you sort of said you grew up, but you was more sort of a Hogan, Warrior, Savage. But was it a special moment for you still?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was really cool because I got to look. So I was in the Northeast. So the Northeast, you basically was all WWF all the time. You got very little. You got hardly any AWA stuff. You got a little bit of NWA stuff, and you got a little bit of world class championship wrestling. So I knew Ricky and Robert. I actually still have, I believe, the one magazine cover from Pro Wrestling Illustrated that they were on. But so I mean, I knew them. I knew of them. 10th grade, we took a family trip to Orlando to go to Disney World. And I'm standing at President's Hall waiting, and I look over and I'm like, "Oh shit." My brother's like, "What?" I go, "It's Ricky Morton." He goes, "Who's Ricky Morton?" I'm like, "From the Rock and Roll Express." I'm like, "What do you mean?" So I went over like a little kid. He took a picture with me, got his autograph. So when we went to Smoky Mountain, after I built the courage up and I built a little bit of rapport with Ricky and Robert, I told Ricky, and I took the picture back. So I had the picture, and when we were in Smoky Mountain, I actually had Ricky sign the picture for me from when I was like 14 or 15. So to know their history, and then to all of a sudden we're working an angle with them, because we worked a little bit with them down in Smoky Mountain, but then to bring in and they're doing this whole NWA angle, and Glenn and I didn't pay attention to storylines or angles or really what was going on. We always just kind of went to TV. What do you need to do? All right, let's have a good time and let's go and do our thing. So the whole angle was, the first match we wrestled with them, we don't know NWA rules, so we throw one of them over the top rope and we get disqualified. And then to come back and win, and then again, so we win those, and there's Cornette involved in the finish again. No, it was awesome. And, then we go rolling to WrestleMania up in Boston as the NWA World Tag Team Champions. So it was awesome because, again, even though we're in WWF, it's still like holding one of the most prestigious tag team titles in the history of wrestling.
Absolutely. There is still history to that belt, even though you are still working for WWE, as you said, like your name is now in the history books.
Right. So it was kind of funny though, going through the airport when the TSA guys are opening your bag and they're like, "Wait a minute, aren't you guys with WWF?" We're like, "Yep, but we're NWA World Tag Team Champions. It's just as good. Don't worry about it." Belt to belt.
I want to talk about Beaver Cleavage. I have to. I mean, as a kid, it sort of went a bit over my head, if I'll be honest. I was only like 9 or 10 at the time, so I was a bit like, it's that mosh. What's he doing? So I didn't really get it. So was Beaver Cleavage always intended to be just a transition to you into Chaz and Mariana, or was there sort of more sort of actual plans for Beaver Cleavage?
No, it was there was an actual plan. So the whole idea behind the gimmick was they were insinuating I was having sex with my mother. That's where it was going. Me talking about mother's milk and her holding the zucchini and how pussy loves zucchini and working on her knees. I mean, that's where it was going. My head was always buried in her boobs. So that's where it was going.
Yeah.
And the vignettes were amazing. They're hysterical.
They were quite funny. They were.
Maybe the worst gimmick ever, but they were the best vignettes ever. So I don't really care what anybody says. Those vignettes were tremendous. So that was the storyline. That's where it was supposed to go. And then right around that time is when Owen had his accident. Abel left, and she was filing sexual harassment charges. All this other stuff started going on. So they just killed the gimmick. They were like, anything that had any kind of sexual innuendos behind it, they kind of just squashed.
Yeah, that'd be quite high on the list, that one.
Yeah, so that's how the gimmick got killed. Everybody's like, weren't you happy about it? And I'm like, I was working, I was getting paid, I was in the ring, my head was buried in boobs every night. I mean,
how
upset could I be? And it was a fun gimmick. Like, it was a fun character. I mean, I'm supposed to be this big goofy kid. I'm still able to go down in the ring and laugh. So it would have been, I think if it was able to run its course, looking back, I think it would have taken me to a different level. I think it could have been one of those gimmicks where, like, Hunter Hearst Helmsley transitioned into Triple H.
Yeah.
I don't know if Beaver Cleavage could have been that, but I mean, it could have transferred me into more Chaz instead of what Chaz was when I was wearing smiley face boxer shorts, because I didn't know what the hell was going on, because I showed up at TV and they're like, this is what you're doing, and then show up next week at TV and they're like, okay, you're just going to wrestle as Chaz now. And I'm like, the hell's Chaz? What does he wear? You're just going to be a kid from New Jersey who's just happy to be here. So I was like, oh, happy. I have smiley face boxer shorts I wear to bed. I guess I'll wear those in the ring. Like, that's what I had in my bag. So that's how I ended up wearing smiley face boxer shorts. And then it was transit. Then from there, it was, all right, well, Glenn's going to be coming back in the next few months. So we're going to do this really dumb storyline of you beating your girlfriend, and we're going to transition him to come back in. So they had a plan. And I think if that plan was able to play out, I think it probably would have given me because I had never done singles before. I had always been tagging, except for.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah.
So I was excited about it. They having the opportunity. Glenn was hurt, so he wasn't able to come back. I was just sitting home anyway. I think it would have transitioned into something good, but it just didn't have a time to play out. Like, I think that would have really given me a lot of time to find myself as a singles wrestler and figure some things out. But it wasn't meant to be, so no big deal. It is what it is.
No, that's fair, mate. I did want to ask about that as well, because the allegation thing. Then sort of you had the GTV footage, and then it's that's by the time Thatcher comes back, it's like, oh, it was all reviews. And were you happy personally to be teaming up with him again, or did you want to do the singles a bit more?
The only thing I wasn't happy about with him coming back was, and I've had this conversation with him, so I guess it's okay to talk about. So when Glenn hurt his knee, he just sat home and didn't work out. He was way overweight when he came back. And Vince's thing always was, if you're off TV for a certain amount of time, you're expected to come back in better shape than when you left. So I came back. If you look at those videos of me at Beaver Cleavage, I mean, I was probably a little too big, but I was like 255. Before that, I was like maybe 230, 225, 230. So I bulked up. Looking back, I didn't do it the right way, but could have done it a little bit different. But anyway, Glenn came back like 285 with a big belly, not being able to move. He wasn't confident. He was worried that he was going to hurt his knee again. And so that part upset me. especially when he came back. That's right when the Hardys, the Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian were really getting rolling as tag teams.
Yeah.
And their style and our style would have worked perfect together, because our style was hard to work because we were working with the Godwins, even though we had great matches with them. Billy and Road Dogg, they had a different style. Like the Hardys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudley Boys, we could have had some great matches. And now here comes into WrestleMania, and we're in a freaking hardcore battle royal, and there's a TLC match going on for the tag team titles that we're not in. We're not even thought. So that part made me a little bitter. I was a little upset over that, because I looked at it, was like we were at the top of the food chain with tag team wrestling in WWF.
Yeah.
And as soon as he came back the way he did, not being on the move, we went right to the bottom. I mean, to the very, very bottom. So that part kind of sucked, but again, it's one of those things. It is what it is, and you can't change it. But yeah, I was a little bummed, only because of, again, we weren't getting a push like I thought we were going to get.
Yeah, and just sort of missed out on opportunities. But you still got TV time, and as you said, still got to appear on WrestleMania. Oh, yeah. Just before you did join with Tiger Ali Singh, you got paired with D'Lo Brown, just in case no one forgot. What was that like? Because you obviously just mentioned D'Lo earlier. Were you excited to be teamed with D'Lo Brown? New opportunity, new tag team?
Yeah, it just was awkward how it happened. It's one of those things where it just happened to be D'Lo, Glenn, and myself walking by, or I don't know, we came from the gym or catering or something, and they just put the run sheet up for the night, and we're standing there, we're like, Lowdown versus Mean Street Posse. We're like, who the hell is Lowdown? Like, who's Lowdown? And they brought in a new tag team. Of course, I'm now thinking, oh great, here's another tag team that's going to go above Glenn and I. And meanwhile, Shane McMahon walks by and he goes, oh, nobody told you guys? We're like, no. We're like, oh, Chaz, you and D'Lo are Lowdown. And we were all like, they're like, yeah, you're a new tag team. Meanwhile, the three of us were sitting there. Glenn was right there, and we were like, and Glenn was like, what about me? And Shane looks at him and goes, yeah, he goes, we're going to send you back to Memphis. He goes, you get back there and get back into ring shape. He goes, bring you back up, and then we'll figure something out. And he walked away. And we were like, okay. Like, a little bit of warning would have been nice, because D'Lo and I were like, gear-wise, what are we going to do? We'd like to try and match, and that's how we ended up with just the pull-away basketball pants, because that's what we had in the bag.
Big stripes, yeah.
And so we just kind of figure it out right there on the spot. And then when I'm good, it's one of those what the fuck moments, as I'm getting ready to go out to the curtain. Bruce Pritchard looks at me and he goes, take your earrings out. I said, why did I take my earrings out? He goes, because you're Chaz now. He goes, you're not Mosh. Mosh has earrings. Chaz doesn't. We want nothing headbanger out there. And I went, so you just want me to go out there and be Chaz? He goes, yeah. And I go, who the hell is Chaz? I didn't know who Chaz was. Chaz was this happy kid from New Jersey who wore smiley face boxer shorts the year before that. So it was kind of thrown on at the spot. And again, at the same time, it was good because I was excited. Like, okay, wow. So they're thinking enough of me to put me with D'Lo, who's always been used and always gotten a good push. Okay, so this is going to be great. But then I was disappointed because, all right, now I'm not with Glenn, and it was kind of messed up the way they did it and told us. But the most awkward part was the 2.5 hour drive home afterwards with Glenn in the car after we went out and had a match. Yeah, so it was kind of I was kind of excited, upset at the same time.
Yeah.
And he was just bummed the whole time. So it was kind of weird. But
mixed emotions, absolutely.
Yeah, but I was excited. I was like, okay, so here's a different opportunity. And again, they think enough of me to keep me around and put me with D'Lo and create this new thing. Like, this is going to be good. This is going to be fun.
It's good. And I like Lowdown because I always like sort of the undercard guys as well. And I know it's short-lived and we didn't really get to see it properly. And I did think it's a very strange fit with Tiger Ali Singh. How do you look back at that time? and how was it like to team with D'Lo Brown? And also, was it sort of explained to you why you were wearing sort of the turbans as well?
It was just they were spending so much money on Tiger Ali Singh. I love him to death, but his in-ring work was awful. He was a good mouthpiece. They had us, so I guess they figured, hey, this would be good. And then they came up to us with the idea of wearing turbans. And the first outfits they gave us, we looked like freaking genies. It was awful. The second outfits weren't so bad. And again, I looked at it this way. I'm getting paid. I'm on TV. Tiger Ali Singh was getting paid a boatload of money. So if they were going to put us with him, we were going to get a push, because some way or another, they're going to get their money out of what they're paying Tiger Ali Singh.
Yeah.
So it went, we weren't, D'Lo and I, neither one of us were crazy about the turbans. We actually hated the turbans. But at the same time, we're being used. So, stuff's going to come out of it, pay-per-views are going to come out of it, merchandise is going to come out of it. So you kind of look at the silver lining, the positive side over the one big negative thing. And then we did a match for Sunday Night Heat, and they did set it up to be a handicap match. It was the three of us versus the Dudleys. Bubba gave Tiger a clothesline over the top rope. Tiger hurts his neck, and then, that's when it was over. They took D'Lo and I off TV, and we were like, they took us off the road, and they're like, well, Tiger's hurt. So we were building the whole gimmick where Tiger felt disrespected by the Americans, and D'Lo and I were like, no, you need to show him respect, and blah, blah. So D'Lo and I started pitching, like, put us on the road, and we can still keep sending that message and just say, Tiger's not here because he refuses to come here because you guys aren't giving him the respect he deserves.
Yep, and you still get your heat as well.
Storyline going. And then our thought was we can keep the storyline going and eventually take these turbans and throw them out and get rid of them and start doing our own thing, kind of evolve into something else while he's trying to heal. And hopefully, if he's gone 2 months, we can create a whole different thing and go. But they're like, no, just sit home. When he comes back, we'll never made it back to TV after that. I didn't. He did for a little bit, but I never made it back.
And what was your thoughts when WWF purchased WCW, because you were still with the company at the time? Did you see it as a good thing, or basically want to know your thoughts, not necessarily what everyone else was thinking?
No, my thoughts were it wasn't a good thing, and it wasn't a good thing for a couple of reasons. One, my contract was expiring. It was coming up right when they did it. So now they had all of these other guys, and the contracts they were offering these other guys were not good contracts at all. So when my contract came up, they offered me that same contract that they were offering all these other guys. And I was like, I've been here, full time for 7 years, basically 10 years. I had 2 opportunities to leave to go to WCW, and I didn't because you guys gave me my start. I love it here. Like, why would I want to leave? And this is what you're offering me. And they're like, yeah, it's nothing personal, it's business. So I was like, well, it's not going to work. Like, I won't be able to live like that. Or if they left me home and I wasn't on the road, I wouldn't get paid.
Yeah.
So it was bad. It was a bad contract. But anyway, that's one thing that was bad. The other side of it was bad was it took competition away, because what made us so good during the Attitude Era was the fact that when it started, Kevin and Scott left. They left just as we got there, and they went to WCW. WCW was whooping our asses in the ratings. Our goal was to beat them. We were in the locker room, we were a collective team, and the whole goal was to beat their ass, was to beat them. And so that was gone. There was no one to beat anymore but ourselves, and it was like the competitive side of it just disappeared. So I think that's what was bad. And after that, it kind of ratings started kind of dropping, because it was like, you got Shane running another company against his dad. It turned kind of, in my opinion, it turned kind of hokey. But took a lot of the competitive edge out of it, and then it made it more competitive in the locker room where guys were fighting to have a spot. Like during the Attitude Era, when we were competing against WCW, no one cared what your spot was. You didn't care. You didn't fight to get a better spot. You knew your role. You went out there, did it to get the other guys over to help them make money, which was going to help us make money. Everyone knew and everyone worked together. It suddenly was cutthroat and everybody was looking out for themselves, which changes the dynamic of everything. You can't, as a company, grow and get better when everyone's just worrying about themselves. You're not worrying about the company as a whole.
I mean, as a fan, I got to agree with you.